schedule schedule your time with your family and for yourself to work out, and get on a routine. So wake up early, work out early. If you're a workout early person. Yeah. I think when I work out depends on the weather here. In the summer, I work out in the morning. In the winter, I work out in the afternoon during lunch. But just make it part of your schedule. And, if you might have heard my alarm go off a few minutes ago. Like I forgot that it was on, but I have an alarm every day that.
Welcome to the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another life-changing episode of the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk with Alex Ramirez. As always, I have a special guest, a very amazing guest that I'm very excited to talk to, learn from, and connect with. But before I introduce him to you, though, I just want to give a big shout out to all of you who have been leaving comments, reviews, and likes on all the major podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, and to those who have been watching on YouTube as well. Thank you very much. And I just want to ask you for a small favor today. I want to ask you that if you get something out of this interview, if you get some type of value, some type of information, the inspiration to go out and take action or do something that will positively impact your life, I want to ask you to please share this episode with one friend, since this is how we grow. This is how we're able to share our message and motivate, inspire, and bless other entrepreneurs so that they can also grow and change their lives as well. So, and as you do that, subscribe to the channel, because I don't want you to miss all the life-changing episodes with all the life-changing men that we talk to here. And so today I have Aaron LeBauer. Is that how you say your name, man?
Yeah, LeBauer.
LeBauer, okay. Aaron LeBauer. And he's a host of the Cash PT Lunch Hour podcast. He's the author of the Cash PT Blueprint, founder of the Cash PT Nation Facebook group, international speaker, business coach, mentor, and he has helped thousands of passionate physical therapists build successful businesses without relying on insurance. And he owns his own physical therapist. He now, helps other physical therapists grow and scale their practices as well. And that's a little bit about him. And Aaron, you're welcome, man. Thank you very, very much for being here.
Alex, thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate you inviting me to join you.
Awesome. So, Aaron, the first thing that I do with my guests, man, is I tell them to walk us through their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
That's going to be really hard. I got to a place where I realized that I wasn't going to be able to do it the way I thought I should. And so I did it myself on my own.
That's it?
That's 10 seconds. Yeah, that's the short version. So let's see, when in college, everyone expected us to either be physician or a lawyer or work for like a bank. And I wasn't going to do any of those. I was pre-med, but I couldn't get past the first night of organic chemistry, which is the second year of chemistry. And so I knew I had a different path. I moved out to San Francisco, and I became a massage therapist, because I knew I wanted to work with people and help them. My father and uncles and grandfather were all physicians, but medicine wasn't my thing. It wasn't my calling. And so I found massage therapy, and it was great. It allowed me to spend time with patients, help them in a meaningful way, and also enjoy life and pursue my passions of racing bicycles. After about 8 years of doing that, I realized that I couldn't help everyone who was coming to see me. So I thought going back to physical therapy would give me those tools, and it did give me some more tools. But it's still got the same people coming to see me who had been seen by everyone and no one helped them until they came to see us. And so I knew in PT school that I wasn't going to be able to see patients in our traditional model, that's where PT is paid for by insurance. So I started a clinic right out of PT school that doesn't take insurance. Like insurance will cover your visits here, but we don't contract with insurance companies because insurance companies start to dictate treatment because they say, well, you can treat them, but we won't pay for that. So I don't think that that's appropriate in healthcare. And so we have a business that's outside of insurance, like contracts. And I started having success with it. People asked me, how'd you do it? And I started teaching them, and I grew a 7-figure coaching business from that.
Cool. That's really cool, man. So, so you went to college.
Mm-hmm.
What did you study?
I studied the easiest way through Duke University. So by the time I had to choose, it was get a history degree because I only had 5 more classes to take. So I wanted to do a lot of things. But yeah, I went to undergrad and I was a history major. So I know a little bit about history.
Okay. And how come did you go to college? Like it sounds like that wasn't something that you wanted to do. Was it?
Well, it was expected of me, and I would not do it. Yeah. I mean, I wanted to go to college. It was just expected. Like I grew up, everyone went to college, everyone goes to college, and, and everyone doesn't just stop at college. You go and either you go to law school, med school, or you go and work in like financial consulting or banking or something else like that. Or you can become a research professor, but that really wasn't something that anyone was, suggesting for me. So yeah, it was just part of how I grew up. It was like, you go to college, and then after college, you go get a graduate degree, and then you get a job, and you work in that job until you retire. That was kind of the expectation.
Yeah. So did that have any impact on you? Because the reason I'm asking this is because I've read some books on like limiting beliefs and all of that. I feel like like being raised the way that I was raised in like Mexico, and I don't know, just being raised the way that I was raised with a lot of limiting beliefs, and one of them, one of the 4 core limiting beliefs is breaking rules, right? So breaking the rules that were either said or unsaid, that were like clearly established or not established, but like you knew those were the rules. And if you break the rules, well, you're being unloyal, right? Disloyal to the people that raised you and loved you and gave you everything. And one of those rules for me was, going to college, not having kids, then getting a job, and then, starting a family or whatever. And if you do the things differently, right, you're breaking the rules. And if you subconsciously know that you're breaking the rules, unconsciously know that you're breaking the rules, then you're a bad person. And why would a bad person, someone who's disloyal to all the people who raised them and loved them and gave them everything, why would that kind of person be successful, right? So did you ever find that like that held you back or something like that?
No, I think the thing that held me back was getting into college and them not knowing what to do with me, right? So I knew I wasn't going to be a lawyer, I wasn't going to be a physician, and I wasn't going to, work in finance. And so, like I went to a career day or a career counselor, and they asked me questions, and they're like, oh, well, you should really come meet the other career counselor, Bob. And I went to met Bob, and Bob's like, well, you should really come meet with Jane. Now I was like, I'm not going to the 3rd meeting. I had another opportunity where, my mom was like, well, maybe you should, look into teaching. You can get a teaching certificate, or you can go teach for a private school and you don't need a teaching certificate. So I went to this educational meeting, and I showed up, and the woman says, who are you? And I was like, well, of course I'm Aaron. She said, you're not supposed to be here. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, the first meeting was last week, and this is the 2nd meeting, and everyone here has been to the first meeting, so you have to leave. And I was like, okay, I guess this is a sign that like, this isn't like my path. So I kind of came up into those roadblocks, or like a door would get shut, but it wasn't really another one is opening. It was the doors were just getting shut, and I was still walking down the hallway. I went to go apply for my first real job. And I was now in California, and I wore a suit to the interview, because you go apply for a job, you wear a suit to the interview. And I show up, and the people interviewing me says, we don't dress that formally here. I was like, I know, but you're supposed to wear a suit to your interview. So I'm wearing a suit today. And I didn't get the job. So the next job, I wore a sweater, and I got called back for a second interview, and I still didn't get the job. So, the story goes on, but that's how it impacted me, is like I didn't fit. I was trying to fit into a square hole, but I needed to go find the round. I was a round peg in the square hole, and I need to go find a different path.
Yeah. So how did you do it? Just like trying and doing different things and doing different things until you finally found the one that you were passionate about?
Basically what I did was I was living in San Francisco and I needed money. So how could I make $14 an hour, which was at 20 years ago was enough, would have been enough to live. And I became a temporary employee. And as a temp, people treat you like dirt, like you don't know anything. Someone explained the alphabet to me and I'm like, I graduated college. And I did a bunch of different jobs, and I worked in a restaurant, not as a temp, but I worked in a restaurant as a line cook. I worked at a bar, like a nicer restaurant in their bar as a bar back. And let's see, I was working this one temp gig and I saw these guys riding their bikes, and they're bike messengers in San Francisco. And I love riding bikes. I was like, I need to do that. So I went the next day and applied to work as a bike messenger and found a good job as a bike messenger. And I was making $1,300 every 2 weeks, which was enough to live on. And I was happy. I get to ride my bike and make money. But I knew it wasn't long-term. So it just took me a while. But after a hard ride one day, I had this epiphany. I was like, oh, so I can go to massage school and I can ride my bike and make the money I need to live my life. I'd been exposed to massage therapy and how it helped me in high school, with not like racing bikes and my legs not feeling good after a lot of training. I was exposed to it again in college through a yoga class I took. And my mom had suggested it. She's like, maybe you could try massage therapy. I was like, no, that's not going to work for me. But eventually it dawned on me I could do that and see 4 to 5 people a day and ride my bike for 4 to 5 hours a day, race bikes on the weekends. And that's what I did. That's how I got on the right path.
That's really interesting, man. So just from trying different things out, you found, do you think that's your call? Do you think like that this is where you were meant to be? Like, how has your journey, like growing and scaling your own practice and then helping others do it? How would you describe it? Yeah. Did you ever feel you were going to come this way, down this road?
No, it wasn't a plan. But basically it's me trying different things until I found something that fit. But really what I found that fits is that I can see solutions to problems other people can't. And so by solving other people's big problems, I can impact them and I can impact the world, and I can generate enough income and revenue to give more money away. I mean, I'm not making as much as I'd like because I'd love to be able to give more away than I need, to live on. But by solving big problems and saying, okay, this thing that everyone told me was a disability, which I have ADD, growing up, like in 5th grade, they were like, put all the kids with ADD in a room without windows and said, study harder. What I really learned was that's my superpower, is being able to see solutions to problems other people can't see for themselves or, for others. So I solve people's problems in their physical body. I can solve their problems in their business. I probably try to solve too many of my wife's problems. It's like people tell me I'm having struggling. Like my first thing is like, how do I solve the problem? I'm really good at seeing creative solutions.
Nice. So that's your superpower.
Yeah.
And when did you become aware of that? When did you become aware that that was your superpower?
Probably only like 3 or 4 years ago.
And do you have like a story? Like, did something cool happen when you become aware of it, or were you just like, this is what I'm good at? Yeah,
no, I just realized I was good at solving problems. I was just like, oh, I was probably listening to a book or reading a podcast. It was just probably hearing it from multiple people, working with mentors, coaches, who also have ADD. I mean, just hearing them, and I'm like, they're not talking about ADD, but they're talking about how, and it just kind of clicked one day. I was like, oh, this is my superpower. And I was like, this is what I can do really well for people. And so I can do it in physical therapy, and I can watch you move here. You tell me where it hurts. I'm like, I know how to solve that. Even when you've seen physical therapists before, or been to the orthopedic surgeon, or tried X, Y, and Z, and same in the business. And once I got through business coaching after a few years and seeing success, I realized, oh, this is the same thing I'm doing in both places. So I'm just solving problems.
Yeah. And it's very fun, huh? I love solving problems, man. That's literally all I do. So
Yeah.
I recently became a CEO, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not doing everything in my business now. Now I actually like hired people to do things. And all I do now is just think and solve problems. That's it.
Yeah.
And every time I have like a team meeting, I'm like, okay, so come at me with like, what are the problems that you have, that you think you have? Let's solve them. And there's times in which they come and they're like, no, everything is cool, like we don't have problems, and I'm like going crazy because I don't have any problems to solve. So
Right.
yeah, solving problems is pretty cool. It's and I came across a quote the other day which goes like this. It's a little bit like this. If you try to think about business ideas, right, you'll have a lot of problems. But if you try to think and find problems, you have a lot of business ideas,
Mm.
right? So that's what everything is all about, solving people's problems. So yeah, man. So I wanna go a little bit deeper into your journey of becoming a successful practice owner, and then helping others, other practice owners, grow and scale their businesses, and becoming a coach now, right? So yeah, like, can you, I don't know, can you get me started on that?
Like, how would I get into coaching?
No, well, so you started your practice, right? And how did that go, first of all, right? Like when did you realize that, oh, I can coach others how to do this?
Yeah, I think so. I started my practice in 2009, and it was probably 3 or 4 years later. It was probably like 2 or 3 years later. I had a couple of classmates ask me for help, and I told them everything that I did. And these were two different people at independent times. And, I told them all the things I was doing, and I spent like an hour with them on the phone. And a few months later, I was like, I said to my wife, Andra, like, they didn't even say thank you. And she said one of the wisest things to me. She said, don't give with expectation of getting something in return. I was like, oh, that's a good point. Like, don't give away something for free if you expect something in return. And then I think like the next week I had another woman ask, hey, can I hop on a call with you and ask you some questions about how you do your business? And I was like, sure. And then at the end, she said, well, how much do I owe you? And I was like, what do you mean? How much do you owe me? She's like, well, this is valuable. How much do I owe you? I want to pay you for your time. And I didn't have any rates. And she said, well, how about I just pay you what you charge your patients? I was like, sure, fair enough. And so she paid me, and I ran her credit card. And that day I realized that I had something that people would pay for. So it kind of just fell in my lap, but I just wrote down, here's my rates for consulting. And I think I had already started a blog around the same time, but it was really that day, through those events and that day, I realized, okay, let me start a consulting business because people are going to ask me. And it was like a nice little side hustle. But what I realized after building a blog and building a Facebook community and I was generating leads, that I really needed to answer all these questions, not just in a blog or a podcast, but put it down into a course that I could sell. So I worked with another coach, and he helped me launch a course. I launched a course. I sold 25 of them, made $5,000 before I even built the course. And so then I had the pressure to build the course. I built what people wanted, and it just kind of grown from there.
Yeah, sounds like an interesting and fun ride, man.
Yeah.
So cool. So, and how long ago did you start coaching?
I think that was 2013. I think I sold my first product online 2013 or 2012.
Okay, so it was a few years ago, about 10, almost 10 years ago. And right now you're running a 7-figure coaching business.
Yeah.
So how long did that take? How long did it take you to, you sold your first thing online, and now you're running a 7-figure coaching business?
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends on how you calculate the 7 figures. Like, is it the first 7 figures that you generate online, or is it the, like 7 figures a year? It's taken a while. It's not a direct, like, one day you have it and one day you don't. It's a little bit of a grind. So, well, I would say, a good, 5.5, 6 years.
Hey, sorry for the interruption. Real quick, do you want to know how I've been using my podcast to build a multi-million-dollar network with over 100 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs? Reach hundreds of my ideal clients with my message, coaching, service, and podcast. Get invited to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months alone. Go to my own events and have over 100 successful entrepreneurs being willing to speak at my event, become a millionaire in 1 year, get mentored by multimillionaires, and achieve goals that I thought were going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year, and ultimately get unstuck and make quantum leaps of progress in my business and life with less than 1 hour of work just by being myself. If you answered yes to any of those, I just want to invite you to a free training showing you how I've been able to build a multi-million-dollar network that is helping me achieve bigger income goals faster with only 1 hour of speaking and just being myself. To be honest, I thought I was going to be a multi-millionaire, speak on stages, throw my own events, and live a successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and impact in 10 years from now. That seemed so far away, but my podcast has been able to help me do that in less than 6 months. I'm actually doing all of that this year at the age of 21 with my podcast. I'm reaching thousands of people with my message, my service, my podcast, my coaching. I've gotten booked to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months. And on these stages, I'm going to be getting in front of hundreds of my ideal clients, making roughly around 15 to 30K plus per event. Not only that, I have a network of over 100 high-level, multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs who have all agreed to speak at my event. Getting clients is a problem of the past. I've gotten the opportunities to learn from billionaires, and I'm collapsing decades of time, and I'm literally achieving what I thought was going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year. All of this because I use podcasting as a networking tool, and I leveraged a rare concept called the cloak track. And I want the exact same thing for you. Just imagine where you could be in 1 year from now if you get this free training right now. That is why I'm inviting you to this training. On this short training, you're going to learn how a small group of purpose-driven entrepreneurs, authors, coaches, course creators, and speakers have combined podcasting with this rare concept called the cloak track to build a multi-million-dollar network, reach thousands of their ideal clients with their message, books, courses, coaching, make an extra $118,800, get booked on 10 stages, and build a successful network of entrepreneurs who speak on their stage, all of this in under 6 months. I'm going to walk you through the 4 steps to make this work. Step number 1, alignment. Getting clear on who you want to be, what you want to do, your goals, your purpose, and aligning all of this with building your podcast and your ideal podcast guest. Step number 2, leveraging the cloak track to find your ideal podcast guest and never running out of them. Step number 3, leveraging the cloak track to close an interview with anyone, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem. And step number 4, the content machine. The content machine is the key to tapping into other people's audiences. And I'm going to show you all of those 4 steps. The link to access this free training is in the description of this video. Click on it and go watch this training right now so that you can learn how you can too build a multi-million-dollar network that helps you achieve bigger goals faster and with less effort. Note, this training is only available to 18 people, so act right now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye. Okay, cool. Yeah. So man, what would be something, like business owners out there, and I'm about to ask you this because you're married, right? And have kids?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like most married entrepreneurs with kids, like if you ask them, like, what is like the thing that you struggle the most with? A lot of them, will say to you, and they will mention, like physical freedom, like their health, they're not where they wanted it to be. Maybe they are not clear about what they want, like problems with their relationships, and, also personal problems. But if you ask, about problems, like most married entrepreneurs with kids will talk about their financial freedom, right? Like problems with their business. And one of the things that they don't realize is that they have personal problems reflecting in their business. So I'm about to ask about, your journey of becoming a husband and a father, and like making, and still as a husband and a father, getting financial success and all of that. But what would be one thing that you would want married entrepreneurs with kids to know, on their journeys to 7 figures?
Schedule your time with your family and for yourself to work out, and get on a routine. So wake up early, work out early. If you're a workout early person. Yeah. I think when I work out depends on the weather here. In the summer, I work out in the morning. In the winter, I work out in the afternoon during lunch. But just make it part of your schedule. And if you might have heard my alarm go off a few minutes ago. Like I forgot that it was on, but I have an alarm every day that rings to remind me to wrap up my stuff at work and go home, because I can get so deep in my work that I'll forget and look up and be like, it's past dinner time. So get yourself on a schedule and a routine. It may not be super spontaneous, but at least you're focused on, the tasks. So what that looks like for me is like Mondays, I meet with my team members. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings at work, I'm focused on doing deep work, building out programs or creating things. In the afternoons, I do podcasts, calls with coaches, coaching clients. Fridays are kind of like a free day. I get out early, pick up my kids from school. I have my workouts scheduled. So I work out, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Saturday is kind of variable, but during the week, I know I go home at 12, I'm going to work out, and then I'll eat lunch afterwards and go back to work. So the schedule really helps me. But it helps me know when to focus on family. So I schedule things out, months in advance, trips, vacations, even date nights with my wife.
Yeah. Yeah. Something very important, something so very straightforward, I believe, but yet a lot of business owners lack that, right? Like lack like the skill of using a calendar and then sticking to it. So yeah, definitely very important.
That goes along with, do what you say you're going to do. Right. Do what you say you're going to do, not just for other people, but for yourself. Like put something on your calendar and do it. And so I have to set reminders or, alarms so that I remember to do things. Otherwise I just get caught, thinking about something else or in another project.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then when you do that, when you do the things that you say that you're going to do, that's when you become confident.
Yep.
Right.
It's integrity.
Mm-hmm. So, Aaron, so man, right now I talked about the freedoms and like the perfect way. I mean, there's no perfect way, everyone has their own journey, but like the ideal way to achieve your freedoms, physical freedom first, taking care of yourself, emotional freedom, finding out like your calling, right? like what you were put on this earth to do. And then with those two, you go and you achieve financial freedom. And then finally you achieve sentimental freedom, which is becoming a good, powerful, respectful, humble, intelligent husband and father. So how did it happen for you? Like it feels like it happened in the right order, but like, what do you say that? How do you describe your journey of, like becoming you, right? Like building yourself, then building your business, then building your marriage. Did that happen like in the ideal, quote unquote, in the ideal order, or like did you have to like figure it out along the way? How do you describe that journey?
Yeah, I think I don't know that it happened in the right order, but it happened, and I figured it. I mean, I'm gonna figure it out along the way. I think one of my coaching clients this morning reminded me of this saying, ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And it's kind of like, I just, I fell into things. It's really hard to plan stuff. Life just kind of comes at you sometimes. And sometimes you can catch it for a good ride. Sometimes you miss it. But, if we dwell on what we miss, we're never going to like value what we have, and I think what we have to do is just see what's in front of us. And sometimes, I don't know what, let's see, I started figuring out who I was, but I didn't fully know who I was. And I still don't, I'm still growing. I think that's the thing, is that I'm still growing. It took me a while to figure out the financial thing. How do I leverage my time? I had to leverage coaches, coaching groups, masterminds, courses, and figure that piece out. And then I think it's, being willing to grow and make mistakes, and have deep conversations with my wife and other people around me, doing personal development courses on my own, listening to books, reading books, and even journaling, knowing like, here's what I am. Like, I learned that my superpower is solving other people's problems, not by sitting around, but by actively working on learning more about myself and how I operate. And so I think that goes with a lot of your 4 pillars, is we have to be active participants in our life if we want our life to be better.
Yeah. Ready, fire, aim. I like that. So Aaron, so what do you got right now in the future for you, man? I see that you have like the PT. I think that means physical therapist business conference, right? Coming here in 2022. You got a book and you got some exciting stuff. So where is it that you're going right now?
Yeah, I've got quite a few things happening. I've got a course. I've got a course to teach you how to launch a 6-figure business. It's my course, The Cash PT Blueprint. I have a book, which is the same name. So it's a it's a lead magnet and it's a valuable book. It's a free plus shipping offer. It's a companion to the course. I've got that. I've got a conference, PT BizCon, that we do every spring. I've got a podcast. And I've got a mastermind group for people who are established physical therapy business owners who want to scale to 6 and 7 figures. And I've got a few other things here and there, but those are my main things that I've got. And I think what's next is, for me, is investing more into other already established businesses, whether that's financially or with my time as like an advisor, building out, getting equity and, other long-term opportunities. There's real estate opportunities I'm always looking at, investing things in crypto, and as well as just making sure that as COVID winds down, I can get back to my pre-pandemic schedule of traveling with my family. I think in 2019, I think I traveled 81 days with my family.
81 days of the year?
Yep. 81 days of the year. I was with someone of my family out of town, whether it was with my kids and wife, or my kid's wife and, my mom and her husband, or with my dad, or us with my brothers, or something like that. We just spent 81 days out of town, and that was awesome. And we of course couldn't do that during the pandemic, but, looking at getting back to doing that. And I just got back from 9 days in Arizona. So, I got a good start on that.
Nice. And all of that, all of that traveling and all of that freedom comes from.
Oh yeah. It comes from setting up my businesses to generate money so that I don't have to micromanage them. I can be out of town and still, help people and generate revenue. And
then that's what you said right now, right? Like you finally learned the financial piece, which is like leveraging your time to make money.
Yep. Time is more valuable than money. Can you give a little bit of
insight into that?
Yeah. Time is more valuable than money. And I think perfection is the number one thing that's going to kill a business. And most people have a hard time delegating because it needs to be done their way. It's probably going to be done someone else's way better, but you have to not just hire people and give them responsibilities. You have to create a system and train them. And you can set up your business so that it runs when everyone knows their job, and you document it with, you can use some software. You can just use like a spreadsheet. We use spreadsheet and videos stored in a Google Drive is most of our documentation of our systems. And you have that set up and you run it and you let other people do it. And the true test of a business is, can you go out of town for, 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a month, without the business dying and shrinking without you there? I've done it myself. I've got a lot of coaching clients that have used that as like a test for how do they leverage their business or start something new or open another location. And it's a really good one because you get a vacation out of it as well. Yeah,
it's really exciting, man. So learning to delegate, this is something, I don't know if I mentioned this or this was on my last podcast, but I recently started to delegate, like a little bit more than 6 months ago. So I actually have a team now that helps me with everything that I used to do. And it's just incredible, right? And one of the mindset shifts that I've made is that I'm not the only one that can do the stuff that I thought that I only could do. Mm-hmm. There's people out there that could do it better. Not only that, they like to do it. Like they have fun doing it. And I had to like make myself do it. And once I started to like let go of the control that I thought I had, that's when things started to like, really move forward faster and with more ease. So yeah, it's been a great ride. And I also use Google Drive for, like with my videos and documents and stuff like that. Pretty cool.
Awesome.
And it feels really good, man. Like I'm getting married in November this year. I've been calling my girlfriend my wife for the past 3 years, but I'm finally getting married this November. And I left for like 5 days, and I come back and like my business is running and my clients are getting results, and it's pretty cool. It feels really good. So that's amazing. And so man, and I feel like I have a very similar thing with you, mm-hmm. Like talking, on the what is it that you want to do side. So like, do you want to stay on the practice, on the, like the practice, the physical therapy practice side, or do you want to like expand and become, I don't know, like go into another niche or something else?
Right now, helping physical therapists is great because I have a lot in common with physical therapists, and it's a lot of fun. Had someone apply to one of our programs who was like, we own a bunch of, I don't know, beauty stores or something like that. I was like, okay, I don't like not going to have that much in common with this person. So I think, there's plenty of people to help and plenty of money to be made in our industry. So, a lot of people ask, like, when are you going to help other people? Like, I'm willing to help other people. It's just, number one, I connect better with physical therapists, and two, I enjoy it a lot. So I'm not done with physical therapy yet. I think there's a lot that our profession needs help with, and it's hard to help from inside. So I'm willing to try to change the industry from our direction. But I do think that long-term, there are opportunities in, more general health and wellness businesses. But I'm not trying to get out of this and search another niche right now.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. So, awesome, man. So for your conference, is that for physical therapists?
Yeah. The conference PT BizCon is physical therapy business owners. And it's, we just had it about a couple months ago in March. So we've done it virtually. We did it virtually 3 years in a row, and next year it'll be in person, hopefully, finally. But it's for physical therapists to teach them the marketing systems, the scaling strategies and sales systems that no one else is teaching, and what they need to be able to market their business without relying on insurance companies or physicians for referrals.
Nice. Yeah. And do you bring on speakers, or is it?
We have other speakers. We have other guest speakers who are in our industry, and some of who aren't, but they all have something valuable to add.
Okay, yeah. Cool. Awesome. Maybe I can become a speaker for some of your conference, and you can become one of my speakers to mine. Actually, I had a 10-year goal of speaking in front of hundreds of people or thousands of people at an event in 10 years from now. I'm 21. So like, I thought that I was going to do that by the time I was 30. And I'm actually doing it this year. I've gotten booked on 4 events.
Nice.
And I'm speaking on 4 events. And now I've decided to like throw my own event next year. So it's going to be a pretty interesting thing, that really stretches me out of my comfort zone. I'm going to throw my event next year in Q1 of 2023. I still don't know how. I know what I want, and I believe the how is going to come as I move along. But yeah, exciting. I thought I was going to be doing this 10 years from now. And I'm doing it this year and next year. So
that's cool. Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. And we'd love to have you speak on my event.
Awesome.
But do you have any tips? Like, have you done a live event or no, not yet?
Number one tip is, yes, we've done it live. The first year we did it was during COVID, and we had to shut down like a week before. So we did it virtual, but so number one tip to holding a live event is, make it all about the attendees, right? They don't want to be late. They don't want the speakers to go over. So make sure if you have guest speakers, they all have like a confidence monitor and a timer, and they all know they need to end early. We need to create opportunities for people to mingle, whether it's through things on their name tag that kind of connect them. Like they have to find the other person with the letter B on a name tag, something like that. Or there's time in the hallway for them to chat. What people really crave is the interaction. They want to hear the content, but keeping the content section short and giving them plenty of time to interact in the hallways is really important.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so like the opportunities that I'm talking about came because of my podcast and the people and opportunities that I've been surrounding myself with. So like you have your own podcast, right? So what is your podcast about? And like, who do you interview people? Like, what is it about?
Yeah. So what I do is, my podcast is called the Cash PT Lunch Hour, and it's for physical therapists. And generally, if I'm interviewing someone, it's someone who's one of my coaching clients, or someone in our industry who's like a major player, who I want to, get on the podcast. Occasionally I'll interview people who are in one of my coaching groups or my coaches, but majority of the episodes are me talking and sharing lessons that I've learned, business principles, marketing strategies, tips, things like that.
Cool. Awesome. So awesome, man. So, man, we have a couple of minutes, like 10 minutes, and I want to make sure that we have enough time to cover the 5 questions I end every single interview with.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and ask the first one. The first question is, how old are you right now? That's not the first question, but like, how old are you, man?
I'm 48.
48. Cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I come from a background, from like the culture that I come from, it like when you're 40, you're done, right? Like most 40-year-olds in like Mexico, they have like a belly and they don't work out and they drink beer and they're done, right? And actually, my stepfather, my mom's husband right now, he's 45 and he feels like he's done. So, like,
Mhm.
do you feel like that, man?
No, uh-uh.
No, not at
But
all,
but
right?
I
Like,
eat well and I exercise on a regular basis. Most people don't eat well. Most people just eat a lot of fast food and junk and stuff like that, and they don't exercise.
I'm excited because, like, a lot of the people that I've talked to are like 40 or more, right? And
Yeah.
and they say that they feel like they're just starting. And growing up, I had this belief that, oh, like at 40 you're old, but no, like at 40 you're like in like the mid game, like mid
Mm-hmm.
halftime of the game.
Yeah.
And
I'm stronger now. I'm smarter. I'm stronger now and feel better in my body now than I did when I was 20.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so like exciting, right?
Yeah.
And if you had, yeah, it's so exciting, and it fills me up. I don't know. It makes me happy. It makes me happy hearing this because now I'm not like afraid of turning 30. I thought that by 30 I was like, I thought that I had to be in a rush, right? And
Right.
I don't feel in a rush anymore. I'm actually enjoying the journey. I'm enjoying the process, and overall, I'm enjoying who I'm becoming in the
Mm-hmm.
process because I'm actually allowing myself to enjoy myself while I'm in the process. So that's pretty cool. So the first question is, if you could give your 20-year-old self some advice, what would that be? Not to redo your life or anything like that. Just give your 20-year-old self some advice. What would that be?
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is your time will come, right? It's similar to what you just said. It's like, don't rush it. Things are going to come around. Like when I was 20, I was like, I wasn't really super worried, but I was concerned that like there wasn't a path for me that I could see. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you found it, and then everything is
mm-hmm.
good, and you're having like the time of your life,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I eventually got on the right path. I mean, it's kind of like I don't know what a good analogy is. I would say kind of like a magnet, like in a bag with a bunch of paper on the other side of on the metal. I don't know. They eventually come together, but there's a lot of other things you have to do first sometimes. So I think a lot of people are, when they're younger, they're like, I have to have it all figured out now. You certainly don't. I've changed careers twice already. I went back to school as an adult. I went to PT school when I was 34 years old.
Cool. And then still
Yeah.
you're enjoying,
Oh
how many
yeah.
days out of the year traveling and on vacation. Pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
awesome, man. So so what was the advice? Don't be in a rush. Your time
Yeah.
will
Don't be
come.
in a rush. Your time will come.
Okay. Got
Yeah.
it. Thank you. The second question is about mindset. So what is a mindset shift that you've had that you can share with us that you think has contributed to you to the success that you're enjoying right now?
Yeah. I think it is that time's more valuable than money. So how can you leverage your time? Right. So I think it's more about finding ways to utilize software or people to get work done that would just take you. They're like low value tasks, and I'm not saying they're low value tasks because the people that do them are high value to me. They're low value for Aaron. So I'm not even on sales calls anymore. Like I need to be on calls coaching my clients. So this afternoon before this show, I was coaching my clients and onboarding brand new clients to my programs. I'm not going to be on a sales call where that person may or may not join our program because it started frustrating me. So I've got other people doing that. I don't post to social media. I've got a virtual assistant that does that. Someone else checks 80% of my emails, and I still get bogged down in emails. I think that if we start looking at our time as the most valuable and precious resource, and we stop trying to do everything ourselves and can look at that time and say, can I pay someone else 15, 50, or even $150 an hour to do this job? So that I can go make, $1,000 an hour or spend time with my kids. Is that worth it? And then the answer is hell yes.
So man, why do you think it's hard to make that shift?
People think it's expensive to pay someone else to do something that they can do themselves. It's a mindset that I should be the one that has to bootstrap this whole thing, or I'm the only one that can do it perfectly, or it's too expensive to hire someone. Well, if I can pay someone else, I don't know, $1,000 a week, and I can get back 10 hours of time to go hang out with my kids. Okay, I can hang out with my kids, and that costs me $1,000. But can I get back 10 hours of my time and sell $5,000 courses in 5 hours and spend 5 more hours with my kids. Now I'm up $4,000 plus 5 hours with my kids.
Now you can make another hire, free up more time,
Yep.
spend more time with your kids and make more money.
Yep.
Yeah. So what do you think is what holds people make this shift? What holds people back from making this shift? Do you think it's like fear, ego?
It's a little bit of fear, a little bit of ego, but it's probably a lot of who they surround themselves with. They're surrounded by people who are in that same mindset and think that money's bad, or that, why would we possibly pay someone to clean our own house, or mow our lawn or do our laundry? And like, we can spend 3 hours this weekend doing that. Well, shit, I'd rather pay someone, $50 to $100 and spend that time with my kids, or my wife, spend the time with the family. So I think that people, so how did I start thinking it like that? I started hanging out with people who were doing it. I was hanging out with people who were not really smarter than me, but had more experience with me, make more money than me. They were where I wanted to be. I can hang around with them, and what are the conversations or things that they're doing to get there, and how are they maximizing the time? And those are the things that I'm starting to do. And I start to learn and go, oh, if I want to be like Bedros, who's my coach, how can I act more like Bedros? Not talk like him, but like, how can I run my day, run my business more like he runs his? And that's going to get me more time, more money, more impact, more freedom.
That's exactly why I started my podcast. So great insight, by the way. So I used to call myself a high performance mindset coach. That's like the vehicle that I found to, like box myself in to like fulfill the purpose that I was trying to fulfill. And I call myself a high performance mindset coach. So like I deal a lot with mindset, and I know like a lot of mindset tricks and tactics and strategies, right? And tools, mindset tools and stuff. But the single greatest tool, tactic, and strategy to improve your mindset, to level up your mindset, is just surround yourself with high level people, with people who are the type of person that you want to be, with people who are doing the types of things that you want to do, with people who have the life that you want to have. And this is exactly why I started on my podcast. And that is the number one thing that you can do to like level up your mindset. Just surround yourself with high level people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, man. And I got a lot of not hate, but like judgment of, for my family, because my daughter has a nanny, or because we hired someone to like clean our house. And for some reason they believe that you are the one that's supposed to like clean your house and take care of your kids. And yeah, so like it's just a different way of thinking, right? That you get from like surrounding yourself with other people. So yeah, great insight, man. Mindset map. So do you have any strategy, tactic, or tool, anything that you can, any piece of advice that you can share with us to help someone gain more clarity around who they are, what they want, and where they're going?
Well, there's a target, and then there's a goal, and you should never hit your target, and you probably shouldn't hit your goal either, because you should keep moving them forward as you get closer. Okay. So we've got that. Now we need to say, okay, what's the target? All right. Make $1 million a year. Or let's say $100,000 a year. Let's work backwards from that. It's like $280 a day. Someone just tweeted me on Twitter, said, oh, but if you work 5 days a week, that's only $73,000. I'm like, you're looking at it completely wrong. It's not $73,000 for the year working 5 days a week. It's you want to work 5 days a week, it's $380 a day. Okay. How many courses or people do I need to help every day to make that money to get to 6 figures? Similar thing. It's for $1 million. We got to say, okay, it's $83,333 a month. How many courses, programs, people do I need to help to generate that much each month? And so figure out your target and your goal, make them, not achievable, but make them somewhat realistic, but give yourself a big stretch, because most people undershoot. That's why we have a target, because you probably hit your target before you hit your goal, because the goal is too low. And then work backwards, right? It's just like do the math backwards. And most people think I got to start reverse engineer. You got, okay, I want to make $100,000 a year. Oh my God, I got to make $8,000 a month. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I need to see 50 people a week. Well, no, you don't. You need to price your product and service correctly. You need to sell. I teach people to sell their plan of care, sell the program, not your time, and work backwards.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. So that's a map, right? To gain clarity. Okay, cool. So motion. So what is a habit that you have that you think has contributed to your success?
I keep a done list.
Done list?
A done list. Yeah. So I have a to-do list and I write all my things I need to do on there. And I schedule certain things in my calendar, like I mentioned before. But I would say I would keep a to-do list, but really it's you judge your day by your done list, not your to-do list, because a to-do list will never end.
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
Right.
And then when you see your done list, you're like,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
I'm actually doing work. And now you
Yeah.
don't get in your head thinking that you're not making progress because there's your done list telling you that
Right.
you're doing stuff.
Yep.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Cool. And the last question is around measure. Mindset, map, motion, measure, money, right? Like if you want money, get those 4 things right. Mindset, get your mindset right. Get your map right. Get clear on where you want to go, where you are, how you're going to get there. Motion, get the right habits in place so that you can get there. And then measure. So what do you think about measuring and tracking?
I think it's great for accountants to do.
Okay. Yeah.
I have other people do that for me. I don't have the patience to sit down and track stuff, but I do want to measure things because I want to know, what works, what converts, but I don't obsess over the numbers. But I let the software I have, like either Samcart or Stripe, I'll check in on the metrics that they keep and I'll look at those things, or my accountant, bookkeeper will get me metrics, but they're not as super real time. They're a couple months delayed. But I'll kind of compare and contrast them. But measuring isn't necessarily for Aaron, the entrepreneur. It's for, the bookkeeper or CFO that I'm going to hire at some point.
So what I'm getting, man, is that you focus on your superpower, right? Like coaching clients, and like onboarding clients, just solving problems for your clients, for the people that you have to solve the problems to. And then everything else is being delegated.
Yep. I mean, I still create the content. I just don't produce the content.
Okay. What do you mean you didn't produce the content?
So I'll create a video or a podcast and my team will then cut it up for social media.
Okay.
So,
yeah, for sure.
I still create, it's still my words. It's still my videos. I just put them into a folder and my virtual assistants take over the rest of the piece.
Nice. Awesome. So man, so where can we find more of you? If I'm a physical therapist or, someone in the health and wellness space, and I want to get to know more about how Aaron LeBauer was able to scale his practice and how he's helping others do the same with his book, his courses, his coaching, and his events, where can I find more of you?
Yeah. Best place to go is probably Instagram at Aaron LeBauer. Otherwise you could just pop my name into Google. You'll find my websites, aaronlebauer.com and LeBauer Consulting. Awesome,
man. Thank you very much. And we're gonna put all your links, the links to your book, to your website, to your Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. Everything, everywhere this appears. And we're gonna put one more thing. I'm gonna put a special link just for the Aaron LeBauer episode, to that is going to take people on a free training, on a free A to Z training on how to start, grow, launch, automate, and monetize in a multi-million-dollar network building podcast, right? Because as you were alluding to earlier, one of the main things that has allowed you to, get to the mindset that you have right now is surrounding yourself with high-level people. That's one of the things that that has allowed me to level up my mindset, level up my results in every single area of my life. And one of the ways that I've been able to do that is through my podcast. So I have a free training for anyone who wants to start a podcast. I call it a multi-million-dollar network building podcast. I'm going to put something link something. I don't know what the link is going to be, / Aaron LeBauer. And that's going to take people to this free training in case they want to start surrounding themselves with high level people and leveling up their mindset. So man, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here, man. And I'll see you later.
Absolutely. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms